Hi guys, so welcome to this week's Sunday afternoon nap. I am cracking on with my Austrians, however, this week I thought I'd give you my take on writing scenarios for Black Powder. Now, there are a number of books, Albion Triumph 1 and 2, Clash of Eagles, as campaign supplements for Black Powder. However, that's it, it's very limited what's actually out there. And as you know, I'm doing 15mm Austrians because during the Napoleonic Wars, Austria actually fought the French twice as long as the British or any other nation did. I think from 1792 to 1712, I think they were at war with France for about 104 months or something like that. So they were at a war for a long time. I think Britain was second, roughly 50 months at war. So Austria was at war for a long time, and because of that, obviously there's a lot of battles that can be turned into scenarios and even campaigns. So at the moment, I'm in the middle of writing a campaign. It's going to be the third relief of the Siege of Mantua, and this was during the War of the First Coalition, and it was fought roughly between the 1st and the 15th of November 1796. So what I'm doing is I'm going to actually I'm going to do the campaign. It's not finished yet. I'm part way through. I think I've got 3 of the 6 scenarios done for the campaign. So basically in this episode I'm going to show you how I created the scenario. The one I'm going to do now is the Battle of Fonteneva. The scenario is done and it's available on my website. If you just bear with me a second, I'll just go to the website. So here's the Green Dragon Games website. You go to the download section, Black Powder, and it's there. Battle of Fonteneva, 6th of November 1796. If you click on that, there it is. So if you want to download it and have a playthrough, please feel free. So how did I create it? So first up, I actually went into Google and I typed in small battles of Napoleonic Wars between Austria and France. I brought up different ones. So this one it brought up was the Second Battle of Bassano. And if you look here, it's got the numbers involved, and you can see there was 19,000 French under Bonaparte and 28,000 Austrians. So it should be fairly easy to play with the limited number of figures I've got. So we'll scroll down now to here, Fonteneva. So it's got some info on the Battle of Fonteneva. I say there's a lot more info in the full campaign, but I will bring up the first picture. So here's the first part. So the first part is a little bit of history on what's happening. So it's basically saying Bonaparte is heading towards Bassano. Massena took a southerly road intending crossing the river of Fonteneva and rode up the east side of the Brenta in a flanking manoeuvre. However, General Anthony Lippi received reports of his arrival, and he moved his troops to the east side of the river, and that set the stage for the battle, which began on the 6th of November. So basically it gives you a little bit of background on the reason behind the war. We then set up at the table. So a 6x4 table. Again, it depends on what size table you've got. Quick description on it, because it's a beginner's scenario as such, so there's no extra rules or extra add-ons. It's basically just basic forces against basic forces to keep it simple. So what I've done on the scenarios is To get the scenario to fit the number of figures I've got, I've introduced a scaling. So on this one, if you look down here, battalions are organised into units of 24 figures for both Austrian and French, one battalion representing approximately 2,000 real world troops on the table. So that way I can use 5 units of 24 figures to represent 10,000 men. So, but if you've got more men, then you can adjust it to 1,000 real world troops for 24 figures. It's entirely up to you. So this is how I'm scaling the battles, and that's how I scale them for all battles. So what I do is I will look at the number of troops that were actually involved in the battle. So if we had, say, 28,000 on one side and 20,000 on the other, but I've only got a couple of hundred figures, then I can easily adjust the scaling so that one unit of 24 figures represents 5,000 men. So that way the 20,000 men on one side will be represented by 4 units, and the 30,000 on the other would be represented by 6 units. It's just an easy way to convert real world battles into scenarios that you can play using forces that were actually there. I mean, admittedly, at quite a different scale, but it's the way I'm getting around it. And then it says all infantry, standard muskets, all cavalry firearms, parts of their close fighting things, which is standard for black powder, artillery, and also artillery, standard smoothbore weapons, so on and so forth. So it's just limits the armies. So we've got the table, so the size of the table obviously, and then limiting the army size. And then next up, okay, so next up, so here we go. Here's the order of battle. As I just said about scaling it, so roughly one unit of 24 is roughly 2,000 men. So the Austrian forces was 8,000 men, which gives us the initial holding the bridge force of 2 infantry regiments, number 4, number 51, commanded by General Major Anthony Lipthay, and its 2 standard units of 24 models. And then they will be reinforced on turn 3 with another regiment, and again on turn 4 with another regiment, which is the infantry regiment number 24 and infantry regiment number 36. So they will be reinforcing the Austrians. So that will give you, roughly 2,000 men each one. So this gives me 8,000 men. Whereas the French had approximately 9,500 men, including a regiment of cavalry. Now, Messner had 5 brigades with him. Now, obviously, to do 5 brigades properly, there's a lot of figures, which I haven't got. So what I've done is I've made each brigade a single line infantry regiment, which is just a standard 24 model unit. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 brigades. Also, we've got a regiment of light cavalry attached to the 5th brigade. So they will be the attackers, the French forces, 9,500 men, including the regiment of cavalry, and the defenders is 8,000 Austrian forces, 8,000 men, including the reinforcements. Okay, so now we've got our forces involved. Let's set the scene. Okay, so this is the next one. So what I've now got a map of the battlefield, which you'll have a look. I mean, if you download the scenario from the Green Dragon Games website and print it off and then go through that as you're watching this video, it'll make more sense, obviously, because it's easier to read off the sheet. So there's the map there. So you see there's Lipthay's deployment zone on the east of the bridge, and then the French deployment zone is there, ready to come. So the French have got an attack. Basically, they've got to So there you go, we've got the dispositions. So it tells you where they're going to deploy. So Liptrees on the east side of the bridge and the French on the other side. And the objective, the French must get as many units as possible over the bridge at the end of the play that evening. And obviously the Austrians have got to stop them. And then the victory conditions, if the French get at least half their units across the bridge, they will consider to be have won. If the French fail to achieve this, they will have lost. The degree of loss or victory is proportional to the troops that successfully cross the bridge. Some consideration will be given as to the likelihood of intact units escaping at the end of the evening. If the Austrians manage to successfully repel the French army, then they will be considered to have gained the field and have held the bridge. So that's basically it. It's all fight around the bridge. So the French can get over half their forces over the bridge, then they've won the game. And then the last one is the aftermath of the battle. So then it tells you basically what happened in real life. So at 7 a.m, Messner attacked Liptre's brigade at Fonteneva from morning until 6 p.m. The French mounted as many as 10 assaults on the general's 4 battalions. And it gives you quick details, all that. The Austrians successfully held their ground against the French attacks. So that's what happened in real life. But in the scenario, will the Austrians be able to hold the French? Or will the French manage to succeed and get across the bridge? Okay guys, that's a quick guide as to how I'm doing scenarios for Black Powder. As I say, please feel free to download the one I've done and have a go with it. Although it's set up for Austrian and French, there's nothing to stop you playing the same one using British and French, Russian and French, British versus Spanish, whatever you want. It's a general scenario, although it fits in with the campaign when the campaign's finished. This is just there for you to download and use. I say I'll let you know when the campaign's ready. But as with most of the other campaigns I've done, they will be on the Patreon site. So anyone who's a Patreon can download the campaigns from the Patreon site when they join up. So let's go to the table now and I'll show you what I've been doing, because I've been working on terrain for this scenario. So I'll give you a quick look at the river, how I'm getting on with the river section. Okay guys, so here's my bridge of Fonteneva and the river section. So you put a bit of varnish on the dirty water. They're a bit warped at the moment because I need to PVA the back of them. But what I'll do is, once this is all done at the front, I've got to put some PVA and static grass down the sides. Once that's all done and dry, I'll spray varnish it again. And then I'll put the PVA on the back, and what the PVA do is it'll pull it all back and straighten it all up. So I've got another couple of sections of river like this, and there's the bridge. Again, it's just cardboard. So here we've got another section here which has got a little island in the middle. I might add some gravel onto these bits here, so this can be a section that can be forded. So these pieces are approximately a foot long. The bridge is approximately 6 inches. So there's 2.5 foot there of river. I've got another 2 straight sections, which will give me enough to do the battle report, because in 15mm I don't really need that much for 6x4 table. I'll probably reduce it down in size and probably play it on, because a 15mm, what I do is I reduced the distances to centimetre. So 72 by 48 centimetres is a lot smaller than 72 by 48 inches. I can actually play probably 90 by 120 centimetres, so which is 90 by 120, so it's 10 foot, was it 10 foot by 8 foot roughly, equivalent in 15mm if I'm using 1 centimetre distances. So there you go, guys. So that's I'll get this finished for next week, show you it, and also I should have my 3rd Austrian battalion done as well, so I'll show you them both next week. So I hope you like this quick guide to doing scenarios for black powder. As I say, there's scenarios out there, but the scenarios all seem to be based around Waterloo and the Peninsula campaign, and there's not that much else really yet. So as I say, I'm going to try and do a few. I'm halfway through this campaign. Once it's done, I will give you a look at it. You can have a quick look at it, and then before I put it up on the Patreon site. So thanks for watching, guys.